please clamber up onto the nearest available chair or table and proudly bare your buttocks for Wednesday Night Live. Whoops. That's better.
Name's Roger Boaty. Mr. George Roger Boaty.
Well, good evening, my loves, and welcome to Wednesday. Oh dear, I only just made it. It was an incredibly busy night. So, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to talk about or say, so let's make tonight all about you. What have you got to tell me? Tell me something interesting about yourself. Tell me the size of your feet. Tell me the name of the person you had your first proper kiss with. And I don't mean, a quick peck behind the bike shed when you were 9 or 10. I mean your first proper full-on snog. What was their name? Where did it happen? And how old were you? Tell me about your favourite hat. Tell me what pets you have. Anything you like. And of course, I want to know what you had for dinner. So, I need a drop of this. I'm knackered. I'm absolutely knackered. How are you lot feeling? It's hump day, innit? How's your week been? How's the rest of the week looking? Have you got any good gossip? I'm always up for a bit of good gossip. What's going on? What have you been driving? What have you been enjoying? What are your exciting plans for the year ahead? What are you looking forward to most about spring? Anything you like, just talk to me to save me thinking of something to say. Dear. And in one moment, quite a bit of kit, your gramophone. Be nice to it. It would be nice to do something, apparently. I'm interested now. I'm going to look at that. I'm going to abandon you. And I'm going to look at the rest of that comment, if I can find it. It's a YouTube comment. And it's from our friend Bad Books. And I just want to read it. Right. Quite a bit of kit, your gramophone. Be nice to find an original. I have wirelesses in my cars. Oh, there we are. Oh dear. Right, okay. Sorry, I'm just getting lost in those comments there. You may not have realised just quite how obsessional I am over the onboard gramophone. Oh no, there's a subject to discuss. Onboard gramophones in older cars, like mine and quite possibly yours. What are you in favour of? Originality or an upgrade to something modern and convenient? I was in one of Liz's cars on Monday, and I must admit I was incredibly impressed by the enormous bit of kit in her 75 Tourer. It looked absolutely fabulous, and it was undeniably useful because it had things like a huge widescreen reversing camera. And I was a little bit jealous, even though I am almost always firmly on the side of originality. And that's why I'm going to do these series of little videos on my Bog News series, because well, I find it jolly interesting, and it is something that I can quite easily obsess over. And I've got a couple of, some of them are going to be less interesting, like in Shison. Shison is my favourite gramophone. It's a Blaupunkt something 32, and it's it's so fabulous. It's of its time. It's ergonomically incredibly unhelpful, because for a start, in the 25, the stereo is set unhelpfully low, well away from eye level. You wouldn't get away with that now. It means that you have to effectively take your eyes off the road in order to see what you're doing with the gramophone. And then, of course, this Blaupunkt, I think it's a CW32. I've got a mental block on it. It's really of its time. It's all small and fiddly and intricate. And it's a cassette head unit that also controls a 10-stack CD in the boot. And it's all, it's keyed into Rover, so it comes up with Rover when you turn it on. Steering wheel controls, of course, and it's all in that magnificent ambient orange glow. And that's definitely my favourite. But there is an issue with it, which seems to be quite endemic to the breed, because it's a face-off. Remember those? There's an issue with the contacts. It was fine when Shison first came into my life, but now, and it's worsening, periodically it will just disappear. The contacts are losing, the contacts on the faceplate and the contacts on the unit itself. They're obviously not contacting at some point, and I need to figure out how to fix that. I bought a replacement faceplate off eBay, partly to see if that was the issue, and partly because it came with the proper Blaupunkt face-off snappy container box thing. What do you call it? But the carry case for the face-off thing. And Shison didn't have one, and I wanted one because I obsess over originality and completeness. Why was that doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. There we are. I think we're caught up. So yeah, and that's not the problem. That's doing exactly the same thing. So it clearly is a problem with the contacts. Now, I used one of my mini microphone muffs for my lavalier, or whatever it's called, microphone, which was a £10 eBay special and makes me sound absolutely shit. But it is probably slightly better than nothing when you're outside in like really windy conditions. So I wedged that in to wedge the faceplate, and that worked for a while, but that sort of wiggles loose. My best idea at the moment is probably very silly, because of course I haven't got a clue about anything practical. I can't do anything. I don't know how to do anything. So my best idea is to jam a load of super glue between the faceplate and the unit and kind of try to just glue it properly into position, because who uses a face off these days? Nobody, I don't think. I certainly don't. So yeah, but if you take wet leg and oh hello, oh has somebody done something right? Oh Liz, bless you, thank you, darling. Oh that's incredibly oh £4.99. I have got a little. There's a little race against time now. I'm due to get paid from YouTube any day now, sometime in the next 3 or 4 days, but I have not been earning enough through either whatever they call it, fan fundraising or the advert revenue to hit the minimal withdrawal thing within a month. You have to earn 60 quid in a month in order for them to pay you. So the payday that I'm expecting is December and January combined. But I'm kind of, what am I on at the moment? I think for February, at the moment, I'm on. Oh, and another thing, I checked the figures on my AdSense account. I've had to pay American tax. I've paid American income tax, which seems kind of cool in one sense and annoying in another. It was only a very tiny amount, so I can enjoy the coolness and swag and brag without getting annoyed over what they've actually taken. But that was one thing. But yeah, I'm on about for February, I'm on about 46 quid. And I'm wondering if I can get a video to go viral or something so that I could actually hit 60 in February, which means that I would get paid again in March instead of having to wait till April. But that's by the by. And it's somewhat vulgar to talk about money, but I am extremely grateful to Liz for that, as I am to you all who support me in any way, shape or form, even if it's just not turning the adverts off and leaving that knob alone. I'm very, very grateful for that. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, wet leg. Now, I went to work in wet leg tonight because obviously it's been a bit damp. We know that rag tops do get a bit damp. They can get mouldy. And I've not really been out in her. So I thought, quiet night, I'll turn the wheels over, drop a bit of fuel in her. And I enjoyed it, to be fair. I enjoyed it. But I will show you the stereo in wet leg. You've probably seen it maybe a little bit from one of the videos. And it's a cheapo Chinese driveless job. Now, it does the job perfectly well. It pairs with my phone, as you know, because we did the phone conversations on the collection calamity. It's got an auxiliary doing, so I could plug an external gramophone into it. It's got an SD card slot. So it's a grand thing, really. It just looks really cheap and nasty. And I'm in 6 minds what to do with wet leg. So I'll throw it over to you. What do you think? Now, part of me wants to keep that unit in there on the basis that it's original to when I got the car, even if it's not original fitment to the car. It does work, it's functional. Oh, I need to mend the aerial or replace the aerial, but that's a separate kettle of halibut. So those would be the arguments for keeping it as is. You could also say that the driveless thing is useful in a convertible because you don't want to be leaving loose tapes or CDs around in case they get nicked. The other options are to fit an original unit, and that was my immediate preference and still might be. And the original unit is a Philips something or other with MG decals on it. And it's a cassette player. And again, going back to my obsession over completeness and originality, the glove box, when you fold the glove box lid down, then it's got 4 slots in the glove box for cassette tapes in their holders. And it annoys me that they are not being used for cassettes. So an original thing, it would be another option if you can find one. And I can find one. There are some on eBay. I think I've talked about this with you before. I might have even showed you. But there's one that's like 70 quid, one that's like 130 quid. And the 70 quid one, they won't even guarantee that it works. And there was one for 25 quid that I intended to buy, and I did bid on it, and I forgot about it finishing, and I was outbid, but it only went for £1 more than I bid. It went for 26 quid, which it would have been well worth taking a chance on it working. And even if it didn't work, somebody clever could probably repair it. So that's the other option. Another option would be to put a similar driveless, bang up-to-date modern one in, but one that looked better, not a cheap knockoff Chinese one, but second-hand it would have to be, but like a, you know, a nice branded one, like an Alpine or something like that. So it just looked better in the car. The one in there, I mean, it looks pants, quite honestly. It looks like what it is, you know, a cheap 15 quid Chinese jobby. And then Matt came up with the interesting 4th option, which would be an actual MG CD player, relatively modernish, which I believe were fitted to the MG TFs, but the Chinese versions after the demise of Rover. And somebody's got a glut of these. They're nearly all sold actually, and they're flogging them on eBay. And they're very plain, they're just black with an MG logo, but they would look great in the car. But they're 80 quid, 80 bloody quid. So and there's things with the other cars as well. But there you are, that's a dilemma with wet leg. What would you do with wet leg? Give me some ideas and I'll see who's with us and say hello to some people. Hey Matt, hey Steve. Bad Book, splendid. Jimmy Quinn, how are you, mate? Simone is with us, wonderful. Chaz Brown. Liz, of course. Quick whiz down, see who else. Ivor Spotty Botties on his smokos. KKC, wonderful. Bum. Oh, right, Spotty Botty's off. That didn't last long. Nice of him to pop in there. Now, what are people telling me about themselves? Let's see. Chaz Brown does racket stringing for tennis, squash and badminton. That's interesting. It is interesting, actually. It is interesting. I know absolutely nothing about it, but I am vaguely aware that different players like to have a different degree of tautness on their racket, or at least they used to a million years ago when rackets were properly made out of wood rather than carbon Kevlar or whatever they're made out of these days. Do you remember? I remember the first 100-mile-an-hour serve at Wimbledon, and that was Roscoe Tanner. And it was like a huge thing of this tiny little wooden racket. And the ladies now are doing 100-mile-an-hour bloody second serves, aren't they? The junior ladies are. Oh, well, things change. Matt, _ has got a cat. Size 11 shoes, and he likes any cat that covers his thinning hair. Steve Hulk has a black cat. Jimmy Quinn had ribeye steak for dinner. He bloody eats well, that Jimmy Quinn, doesn't he? Matt's got some bird's eye spicy chicken in the oven. Oh, and Simone, who is a spicy chicken twin, has also had spicy chicken for dinner and has size 6 feet. Oh, hello. Liz weighs in. 5 cats, odd size feet, 8 and 9. Oh, and another southern fried chicken for tea. What is it with the spicy chicken? Have you all joined a cult where you have to eat spicy chicken on a Wednesday? Simone has a cat. Oh, Matt says chicken and chips was code for nookie with a girl I used to date. There's some unknown knowledge. All right. What? So if you were in company, like with her parents or something, you could say, "Do you fancy some chicken and chips?" And their parents wouldn't know what you were talking about. But if she said, "Yeah, I'm really in the mood for chicken and chips," and you gave her chicken and chips, her parents would see it all, so they'd probably guess what was going on. So I'm not sure that. Well, it's an interesting idea, and we should talk about that. Um, do you and your partner or previous partners have like coded phrases or different words for stuff to avoid improper references? I'm trying to think now. Um, yeah, I've got a few. I mean, there's yeah, fellatio is jelly bean treat time. Cunnilingus is spousal mouthery. The act of physical intimacy itself is spousal bodgery. Um, so, yeah, if you've got any of those, I'd love to hear those. I was Spotty Botty before he buggered off back to work and was saying hello to us all. Has got 4 cats and 2 big arse feet. 2 big arse feet. 2 big arse feet. Has anybody else just got a vision now of having arses for feet? That would be funny. Imagine walking along and breaking wind with those buttocks quivering with every stride that one took. Matt took in a neglected cat, called her Snooch, but now refer to her as Noodle, and has no idea why. Well, that's quite nice, actually. Oh, here we go. Bad books. Pets. Black Betty, the greyhound. Mr. Milton, the staffy. Ola and Lily, the cats. Sounds posh, but they're as common as muck. And not forgetting Percy and George, the tortoises, who are hibernating in the fridge. I remember asking about this before and being told. Oh, quite right too. Noodle is a cool name for a cat. May the blessings of the FSM's noodly appendage be upon her. Quite right. And while we're on the subject, may you all be blessed by the FSM, and may you all have the great good fortune to be touched in some way by his noodly appendage. 2 cats and a whippet at Shea KKC used to have a greyhound. Oh, hello. Jimmy Quinn has got a Siberian Husky crossed with an American sheepdog. She's a great guard dog, I bet she is. Kept Mustard to weld the contact with you for you with his new welder. Oh dear. Yeah, right, we've got on to talking about stereos. Helvetica and Times New Roman walk into a bar. Get out of here, shouted the bartender. We don't serve your type. Nice one, Chaz Brown. Matt, you've got competition, mate. This is going to turn into a joke off. I can feel it in my water. Matt loves a little muff. Chicken and chips, Matt. Oh, bless you, Liz. Okay. The super chat was a contribution towards the new camera tech that's and I must stress that Matt, bless him, Matt has obviously seen the wobbliness of my filming and has come up with the idea of going on the scrounge for what do they call it? A gambol, a gumball, a gimbal, I think, which would be a splendid bit of kit. But it is entirely Matt's idea, I must say. I don't want you to think that I'm harassing you on the scrounge for bits and bobs. My idea I don't know if it is an idea or if it's a kind of retrospectively engineered idea born of necessity. I haven't upgraded or introduced any equipment because I'm skint. Okay, so that's the reason for that. But I've reverse engineered an idea, thinking that if I can grow the channel to a certain point where companies become interested in product placement and all of that, kind of where Mustard is now. So, you know, I'm not that far behind him now, and still growing quite well, thanks to you lovely lot. If I could grow the channel using the appalling technology and techniques that I am at the moment, then when I get to that point, wouldn't that be a great opportunity for a manufacturer of any of this sort of technology to send me something free? And then if you notice the improvement in my appalling videos, well, that's going to be a fantastic advert for the technology, for the product, isn't it? So I was kind of hoping that would happen, and yeah, I could just all get the stuff free and buck she, and any spare money I've got I could then spend on cars, because there are always jobs that need doing to the cars. But Matt, bless him, messaged me earlier today and said, why don't you do a never-ending live stream that keeps going until you've raised enough money to get yourself a gimbal? And I said, and he sent me a link to one of these gimbal things. And I said, yeah, I have had a look at them because I've heard about them. And it looks a lovely bit of kit, but I would feel too awkward to do that. I hate mentioning money and super chats and channel memberships and all of that, because it's just not in my nature to go on the scrounge. I know that some other YouTubers are perfectly okay with that, and they will shove merch in your face and they'll mention this, that and the other. And I suppose I do it a bit too, but I do at least feel awkward about it. And when somebody does ping something or other over, I feel a little bit guilty about it. Although that soon disappears. I mean, I tell myself that everybody who supports me like that, when we get to the actual social side of things and we're meeting up in person, I'll be able to repay the kindness in my own way. So when you come here, I can feed you and give you Momo and give you drinks and whatnot, and you know, anything of that nature, so that it is at least a two-way street. And that's kind of how I justify it to myself. But I did say to Matt, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, mate. And he said, well, okay. You know, well, I'll put it out there. I'll mention it. Make it clear that it's not you asking me to do it. And that way you don't have to feel awkward. And if anybody objects to it or is offended by it or anything, you can just delete the posts. And I thought, well, yeah, fair enough. No harm in that, I guess. Maybe what we should do, maybe this could be like Dragon's Den. And you could all invest in the channel so that when we become all big and rich and famous and everything, we all share the loot and we share the goodies that come our way. All of you guys, the original investors. I mean, that would happen anyway, because, you know, if by chance I ever did get, you know, really, really massive to the levels of like Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, where I could do amazing things like swan off to motor museums and pay 23 quid or whatever it is to drive an MG Maestro around the car park, I would automatically take you guys with me. It wouldn't be, I wouldn't think of doing anything otherwise. It would all be shared anyway. I mean, that just seems natural to me, which is why I'm blathering on, aren't I? Which is why I keep going on about this community thing. Maybe that seems normal to me. And it's kind of normal to mustard as well. But maybe it's not all that normal. Maybe other YouTubers don't do it. Maybe they just think, well, no, it's you're the audience. I'm the content creator. If you support me and send me money, I'll be very grateful. Of course I will. But I'm buggered if I'm going to make you sandwiches at a car show. I'll meet you at a car show. I'll talk to you. I might even allow you to touch me with a good, firm, brisk handshake. But I won't give you anything free or make you lunch or anything. I'll just flog you some dodgy merch. So I don't know, maybe I'm a bit out of step, but there we are. Oh, we're getting on to kisses. Simone says, the first person I snogged was in Peck's Wood in Kent, on the train bridge, I think. It was a long time ago, says Simone. I was 21. Quite late to the party there, Simone. And that's not a criticism. I was late too, as I've mentioned before. I was definitely late to the party. Glad to know I wasn't the only one. The cheek of YouTube taking tax, says Ivor Spotty Botty. As a company, they pay sod all corporate tax. Well, I don't know about that. Of course, it's not YouTube, it's Google. And Google are an American company, and I genuinely don't know what tax they pay or don't pay on home soil in America. But in case you didn't realise, when you sign up for all of this monetization jazz, you have to fill out a tax liability thing. And there is something in place between the UK and the USA which limits your liability. But, you know, they do say that you are liable for federal taxes. And when I looked at the thing today, sure enough, tax has been taken. Which, you know, I mean, that's fair enough. That's the way society works, isn't it? That's how things run. It's not a perfect system. You know, in an ideal world, we wouldn't need to pay a government to organise all of this. We would do it as a cooperative ourselves. And then all of the money, in theory, would go where it was supposed to go. So it would go towards the hospitals or the road repairs, and it wouldn't all get siphoned off to MPs' expenses and all of that kind of thing. But, you know, that's a bit of an impossible dream thing, really, isn't it? Because the reality is, if you did form a cooperative and did all of that directly, there would still be the people who are in charge of distributing the money on behalf of the cooperative or whatever. They'd become corrupt. All humans become corrupt, or the vast majority do. Certainly when, and many of the people that say they don't or wouldn't, the opportunity has never presented itself. So they can't honestly say, unless you've been in the position where you could be corrupted and you've remained steadfastly uncorrupted, you can't, first one, then you can't really say for certain, because, you know, who knows how good you would be at resisting temptation. But yeah, so I don't object to it. Oh, and it was only a tiny amount. It really was only a tiny amount. And if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is. You know, you earn a bit of money, you the man takes his cut. That's the way that it works. And, you know, it's nice to think that something will happen in America funded by me, or to be more accurate, by you. And yeah, and at the end of the day, none of this would happen. You know, people complain about taxes and people complain about commissions and so on, but they forget that if it wasn't for the platform that you operate through, the chances of you being able to do what you do are virtually nil. Take eBay as an example. Now, like every other eBayer, I set up a standalone website of my own to avoid eBay fees. And you would do everything you could to drive the traffic to your own website and get them to buy from the website rather than from eBay, thus making it better for both parties. You would drop the price slightly on your website to acknowledge the lack of commission that you're paying, so the customer would pay less, and you would get a bigger profit margin because you're not paying commission to eBay. But the reality of the situation, no matter what you do, so you send something out from eBay and you put a big flyer inside saying, next time you order from me, order from the website here and save money, get things for less. But no matter how good you are and how much you try, it's always going to end up being back on eBay because they're a massive platform. They've got everything going for them. They're going to find new customers that you never would. And exactly the same is true for YouTube. I mean, you think about it, right? I've got websites. I've got social media. Well, no, forget social media because that's another platform, isn't it? But let's say that I set up the Boaty's World website, which I actually did yesterday. I didn't set up a website as such. I bought a domain name because the previous domain name was 500ccc.co.uk when this was £500 2-car challenge. And I keep meaning to get around to buying a new one, and I've finally done it. It's only pennies. So it's now boatysworld.co.uk, and it isn't a website as such. There's no hosting or anything. That domain name exists purely to forward traffic to my YouTube channel. So if you type in www.boatysworld.co.uk, it just takes you straight to YouTube. The point of it is it's just a bit more user-friendly and looks a bit more professional than having www.youtube/@Mr. Boaty or whatever your channel thing happens to be. If you've got a channel, guys, yourselves, and you haven't done that, do think about doing it. When Mustard did something nice for me, I bought him 2 domains. I bought him projectnigel.com and projectnigel.co.uk. And the one of them just directs to his YouTube channel, and the other one is an actual website. I paid for hosting, and I spent about a week building him a website. But of course, because he's Mustard, he never did anything with it because he's not a technical dude. So I realised that. So I got rid of the hosting, got rid of the website. Well, I say I got rid of it. It's still there. It just can't be accessed by his domain name because it's not hosted. You could access it via the GoDaddy name. But the other domain name is still working for his YouTube channel, but he never uses it. But there we are. Why am I talking about that? Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. So imagine if I set up a website, Boaty's World, and I put all of my videos on there. What are the chances of a single one of you guys ever finding it? You wouldn't have, would you? You don't go on on Google and search for mad Peak District man making crap videos. You don't. You only found it because of YouTube. So anything that I get is as a result of YouTube. So I don't complain that anything that you do on YouTube, they take a little bit of a cut, because if it wasn't for YouTube, none of this would happen. Same as with my singles thing. I tried doing that on a standalone website, doesn't work. If it wasn't for Facebook, Singles, the UK singles network would never have grown into what it became. 11,000 people, I think, today at the last count, and 500,000 through the doors over the time that it's been running. So, whilst it's a little bit painful that anything you do on YouTube they take their 10 penneth, they're bloody entitled to, because we don't pay to use it, you don't pay to view it unless you have premium. So we have adverts, and YouTube take a commission on income earned. So there you are. That's how it is, isn't it? Right, so we've said hello and goodbye to Ivor Boaty. Matt's pushing the gimbal thing. Bad books, wirelesses. VW, his VW, has original Panasonic auto reverse tape deck and manual tune radio. I'm slightly aroused by that. My Mazda Unas, oh, I miss my Mazda Unas. My Mazda Unas had a Clarion double din non-working. Ah, well, yes, because import. So fit a pure CD with USB, looks right for the car. Matt says looks nice at MG one. It does look nice. And it's like the perfect match of being modern-ish, but also having that period look and being MG branded. And if I was more comfortably well off than I am, I would almost certainly go down that route. But I haven't got 80 quid to throw at an MG stereo, but it would look fabulous in the car. It would be an agreeable and acceptable compromise between original and modern, and of course it's MG branded, so that would all fit together rather well. But 80 quid, God, I can dimly remember a time when 80 quid was nothing, meaningless, you know, in the same way that I would now go and buy something for 20p, because I'd think, it's 20p. Why do I need to worry about that? 80 quid used to be like that, but that was a long time ago. Boaty's community swap shop, where we swap stuff we don't want for things other community members need. Why not? Do that in the Facebook group, Matt. Why not? Can't hurt. KKC says, my 97 MGF had a dealer fit switch to a Sony single disc unit. An auto changer to fit the MG head unit was a small fortune. Yeah. I bought, I think I showed it to you, didn't I? I bought a 1998 catalogue, brochure rather, for the MGF, and I've been looking at the options, and yeah, that cassette head unit did operate a stack CD system. So that would be the holy grail, wouldn't it? The original head cassette with the 6-disc doings. For a man with such a good memory, he freezes a lot of wine. I've got a typical old person's memory. I can remember the stuff that happened 15 years ago, but I can't remember what I went upstairs for or what I said 10 minutes ago. Your long-term memory is on the hard drive. Your short-term memory gets wiped out every time you have a glass of wine. Oh, the swaps are starting. I'll swap my wife for a crate of Stella. Oh dear. Oh, going back to the chicken and chips as the euphemism for nookie. Didn't go down well when her mum said she'd like chicken and chips too. Wish I'd served her some now. Was she all right, the mum? That's, it's quite a satisfying double whammy, isn't it? When, yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about that. That's completely wrong. Hey, what? Oh God, we're going down some horrible route now about chicken and chips, and KKC's talking about things, and Simone is talking about things. Oh God, no, they're talking about full portions. Oh, and Chaz Brown has come out with another joke. Well, it'll save us from the chicken and chips thing. Yesterday, I saw a man spill all his Scrabble letters on the road. I asked him, what's the word on the street? Oh dear. Matt says, I just spotted a couple of negative comments about wobbly footage and decided to look at a solution rather than add more negativity. Ironically, I just stifled a burp. Ironically, if you look at tonight's video, and this is before you messaged me, Matt, if you look at tonight's video, there's a section where I was filming the CD storage in the middle. And when I went to put it there, I was hand holding the phone, but I'm holding it in one position. And I don't think I'm a particularly nervous person, but it's apparently quite difficult to hold it in one position, especially at that angle. And it was all wibbly wobbly and it looked dreadful. And I thought, well, I can't have that. So if you look at the video, then it starts as handheld, and then I had to overdub a still picture because it was just wobbly. And that was before you messaged me. And I thought, oh, I didn't realise that was a thing. And I actually thought that's why they all use these gimbal things that I know sort of all about. But yeah, it's obviously a thing. And there is obviously a thing that will solve it, this gimbal thing. Although, can you use that for on a car mount as well? Or is it only for when you're hand holding it? But they do look a really useful thing because you've got like a handle thing on it. And you see all of the channels. I was quite jealous of this, that when Hubnut's doing his walkie, or his car tinker, but when he was doing his collection vid and he was on the train and he's holding the thing out, and you see all of them doing it, and they're holding the thing out there, and it's really good footage. And that's what they're using. They're using one of these gimbal things, which gives you a handle and auto stabilization and focuses in on your face and all of that sort of thing. And it's like impossible to do that just holding an iPhone 6. And when I was in London going to collect wet leg, going on the tube, it's like impossible to hold your phone like that. But if you've got one of these gimbal chaps, you can just proudly hold it like that and march along and get footage. So I would like one, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. I can add it to the long list of things that I'm going to spend money on when the weather gets warmer and I'm not taking my trousers and pants down to keep the cottage relatively warm. 15 quid a day, it doesn't have mount up. And that's not even excessive heat. That's knocking the doings down when I go to work. And even when I'm here, I've just knocked it up now, just before I started this, but I haven't gone mad. It's on 20.5, which I don't think is excessive. You know, maybe if you're in an apartment block and you get heat from above and below and this, that and the other, then maybe you can get away with it. But I'm in a bloody cottage up on high on beleaguered moorland. Gets nippy in here, I tell you. So I don't think 20.5 is excessive. But yeah, this money that I'm going to save when the weather gets a bit warm, the things I've said I'm going to spend it on, I've already spent it 649 million times over, and now I'm going to buy a gumball as well. Hey ho, it's all good fun, isn't it? Oh, underscore, bless you, thank you so much. Right, what are they talking about now? I had a few emails apparently from an apparent VPN, visible panty notifications, company, Boaty, in regard to my channel. Oh, right. I had a few emails recently from an apparent VPN company. This is Simone. In regard to my channel. I found them online and it seems they are legit, but I just don't trust it. Well, I can tell you, I've not been approached, but I can tell you, Simone, that these VPNs, which are, I think, virtual proxy things, which mean that you can appear to be in one country when you're actually in another. I'll give you an example, right? My dating website, that is now lying defunct, and we should do something with it between us. But that is blocked to any non-UK IP address, right? It's the #1 way of avoiding getting African or anybody else. I don't want to single out Africa, but it's the #1 way of avoiding getting scammers on your UK site. But that throws up two things. The first thing I discovered was that when I was living in Matlock Bath and I wasn't in charge of the broadband, Boo was, Boo got one of these cheap ones. I can't remember what it was, Talk or something like that. And we were blocked from our own website because these cheap broadband providers, they piggyback off other broadbands from around the world. So half of the time they're using a non-UK ISP address, which means that, so all the time that I was in Matlock Bath, I couldn't access my own bloody website because my own ISP was a non-UK one. So that was interesting. But the point of these VPN things is that they allow you to, I mean, I have used one, and I'll give you an example. I'll give you that example, not just any old example. When I was spending a lot of time in France at my friend Joe's gîte, which I used to have a deal with, and I'd spend 4 to 5 months of the year there. Outside of the UK, you can't access BBC iPlayer, right? And if you're an expat living abroad, that's irksome if you want to watch EastEnders or Top Gear or whatever it is you want to watch. Now, if you use a VPN, then that means that you are apparently in the UK, and it means you can watch the BBC iPlayer. And it's for that sort of reason that they exist. They can be used for more nefarious purposes, but that is one of the Anyway, the point is, Simone, that a few of the channels that I watch regularly are regularly sponsored by a VPN network. I'm trying to remember the name of the most popular one. So don't throw it out of bed automatically if they're contacting you, because they are legit, or well, the ones I've seen are obviously legit, and they sponsor some major channels. The one that springs immediately to mind is one that Dick Dastardly and I both avidly watch, Mentor Pilot, and he is a huge channel, and every one of his videos is sponsored by a VPN network. So I would look into that a bit further, Simone, if I were you, and at least explore it, because, you know, God knows, if somebody's willing to throw money at us, then why refuse it? We're all in the same boat, aren't we? Or at least we're all in different boats on the same ocean. We're all fucking skint. There's a cost of living crisis. So I would look into that. If Momo and whatnot doesn't sound like a euphemism, I don't know what does, says Liz. Good point. Stephen S. Paul is with us. Fabulous. And thanks again, Matt. Thank you. Matt bunged a couple of quid into the gimbal fund. Hashtag give a gimbal a home. Well, no, don't just give a gimbal a home. Give it my home. Hashtag get Boaty a gimbal. Oh, Mustard's with us. Hello, Mustard. How are you, mate? You okay? KKC says, Boaty is going to be sponsored by the company that sells you land and makes you a lord. His title will be Lord Boaty of Windy Bottom. I'd do that. Yeah. Yeah, write a cheque and become a lord of the manor. Chris Eubank did that, didn't he? He became Lord something of Brighton. I would quite happily be sponsored by one of them and become Lord Boaty. There was a very good story. Now, I'm not sure if it's apocryphal or not. I choose to believe that it isn't. But it regards somebody who was made a peer of the realm, and he wasn't a terribly well liked chap in his local community. And he asked one of the minions in his community, he said something like that, you know that I'm made a peer, what? Yes. Bit unsure what name to take, because you can take a different name, you know. You can take your own name, of course, I think, or you can take a different name. And the minion suggested that this chap become Lord Thrombus. I think it was Thrombus. Liz, you'll know. If I've got the word wrong, I apologise. I'm sure it was Thrombus. And the chap said, Thrombus? What on earth is that? He said, and the minion said, well, a thrombus is a bloody clot that undermines the constitution. It's, I think it's a medical term for the result of arteriosclerosis. And it's when you got arteriosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries, and a little bit of this stuff breaks off, whizzes around your bloodstream until it gets lodged somewhere and will cause either a heart attack or a stroke, depending on where it gets lodged. And I think, Liz will correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's what a thrombus is. But that was a good story anyway. But I'd love to be. Right. Register your channel in Panama or Mauritius. Tax problems solved. Well, it's not though, is it? Because you can't register. Well, I suppose you could. Well, no, you can't, because, well, I don't know. I'm not a tax expert these days, and I never did the offshore thing, even when I had dough. But you are effectively, I don't know, subcontracting or something to Google, and they're based in America, so I'm not sure how easily you could weasel out of it. I've got hiccups now, if at all. Oh, Jimmy Quinn, thank you. Another bunging for the gimbal. That's really kind of you, mate. Thank you so much. I saw this one on Facebook. This was a good one. Boaty has paid more tax in the USA than Donald Trump, and it's probably true. If I know the Donald, then even the tiny amount that I've paid probably exceeds what the Donald has bunged into the pot. Mustard was washing up. Oh well, good for you, Mustard. I have no idea how to do a website, says Simone. It's easy now, my lovely. When I started building websites, then I was building them in HTML code. And if you don't know what that's like, the best way I can explain it to you is that in order to make a single sentence of text appear where you want it, in the style that you want it, then you have to write an A4 page of HTML script. It's incredibly complex. But building a website these days is easy for, you know, a basic low rent website. You just go to any of the website providers. I personally like GoDaddy because I like speaking to them on the phone. They're the most amazingly lovely people, and they lift my day every time I speak to them. And they've got the American sense of customer service. They cannot do enough for you. They're unfailingly cheerful. They go out of their way to help you, and they do things that in the UK we're not accustomed to. So you ring them up. This actually happened with me. You ring them up and you say, look, I took this product out with you 6 months ago, and I've not used it once. I took it out by mistake. I didn't realise I'd done it. I've never used it. I'm never going to use it. Would it be possible to cancel it? Thinking that if they're kind, and I probably signed up to 12 months or something, and I'm thinking that if they're kind, they'll cancel it after just 6 months, and I won't have to pay the following 6 months of charges. And they said, yes, sure. They used an American accent. And they said, yeah, we can do that for you. And I thought, oh, that's fabulous. Thank you so much. And then they said, let me just have a look. Oh, yeah, you literally haven't used it once. We'll refund all of the previous 6 months worth of charges. And I thought, bloody hell, that's amazing. You wouldn't get that in the UK. That's very much an American thing. So, but anyway, the point is, Simone, that if you use GoDaddy or any of these sites, then they do all of the work for you effectively, and they do all of your SEO and everything. And it's no more difficult to build a website these days than it is to do a Facebook group. You do a Facebook group. It's literally just like that. They provide all of the tools. All you need to do is to just add the content, whether it's text, pictures, videos, whatever. It's a piece of piss, honestly. So if you wanted a website, don't be put off thinking that you won't be able to do it, because I assure you, you will. Any idiot could do it. Oh, don't preach your wine. Oh God. Chaz Brown is in again. A man tells his doctor, Doc, help me. I'm addicted to Twitter. The doctor replies, sorry, I don't follow you. That's quite good, actually. Eastern Blue offer chicken and chips, mate. We should try it. Ah, now then, maybe we should. On the subject of Eastern Blue, when it comes to, I enjoyed my kebida that I had on Monday. I had it with chips and salad, even though we were taken away, not eating in the thing, because we ate in the caravan on Monday. You will see that. Don't panic, Liz. I'm going to do a massive edit on it. Yeah, you're going to see, coming up at some point soon, there's going to be the second Mustard and Boaty Do People. In that, you will get snippets of us properly meeting the lovely Liz, taking one of her wonderful cars for a drive, and enjoying a rather splendid lunch together inside Mr. George Roger Boaty. But I had, the previous week, I had my kebida with naan bread. And this week I had it with chips and salad, and it was much better with the chips and the salad. Eating the kebida with the naan is a bit too much. It's all a bit unwieldy to eat. When they serve it in a naan, you just get this huge horse's dick. When they serve it with chips, it's all nicely chopped up for you. And then you got your salad in your tray, and then you got your really hot sauce. And I really enjoyed it. The only thing missing to make it perfect was, well, the only things that were needed to make it perfect were a plate, a knife and fork, and a linen napkin. But all of those things are going to be added to Mr. George Roger Boaty. You'd better believe it. If you're having problems with mounts, handholds and positions, you don't need a gimbal, you need a copy of the Kama Sutra. I have a copy of the Kama Sutra. I have an original copy of the original Kama Sutra of Vatislava, or whatever it is. And it's nowhere near as exciting as you would think. First and foremost, the original copy, it has no illustrations, only text. And it uses different names for everything that you're not familiar with, which make it all sound a bit laughably funny. The male member is called a lingam, the female member is called a yoni, and when it's just written down in, and it's not written down in exciting text, it's not like saying, try this position, it's brilliant, you'll achieve amazing penetration, and there's incredible clitoral stimulation. No, there's none of that. it's all written in like spiritualistic yoga type terms, and there's nothing exciting about it at all. It's a book that I inherited from my parents, and I can only imagine they were as disappointed by it as I was, because I has this happened to anybody else? When you were a kid, did you ever burst in on your mother and father having sex? I did once. Only one thing happened that traumatized me more, and that was when my father didn't lock the bathroom door and I walked in on him in the middle of having a shit. But but when I burst in on them, it was, straight missionary, nothing exotic or exciting there. So they clearly didn't get very far into the text of the Kama Sutra. It's a very disturbing thing to see. But my father was a very straight-laced man when it came to sex. We didn't talk about it all that much. But he considered oral sex to be abhorrent. I didn't dare speak to him about taking a few laps around the chocolate speedway or any of the really good stuff. But anyway, that's by the by, isn't it? Talking of car gramophones, says Simone, my Rover 75 CD player, open bracket, in the glove box, close bracket, will not load CDs anymore. Can you or anyone else suggest a remedy to solve this? I can't. What I can tell you is that the CD thing could be mounted in the glove box or in the boot. Not that that will help you. Oh, right, KKC is helping. NordVPN or Atlas on YouTube. NordVPN is the one I was thinking of, KKC. That's the one that sponsors Mentor Pilot. So if, Simone, if it's that one that has contacted you, get in there. Get in there, my lovely. Fill your boots. Oh, right, okay. Dreamweaver is good for doing your own web pages. HTML not required. You don't need HTML for any of them now. They've all got web building tools, haven't they? HTML is a thing of the past for the rest of us. Digby Jones took the title of Lord Jones of Birmingham. Not sure where Baroness Brady is from, given her lifetime working for David Sullivan and the Gold Brothers. Now we're talking about. So you podger with your lingam. You do with your lingam. You do indeed, KKC, according to the Kama Sutra. And I've caught up with the comments. Jolly good. And you guys are trying to help Simona with her CD stacker system problem. I'm gonna chill out because I am a bit tired tonight. Oh, lunch today, excellent. The last of the rare roast beef out of the freezer with slow roast potatoes, fresh green beans, cost of living crisis, right? One packet of runner beans, or stringless beans to be exact, £1.50. £1.50. Now, normally I have half a packet as a portion with a meal, but not at £1.50 I don't. I only had a third today. At £1.50 it's got to go between 3 meals. I'm not spending 75p on a portion of vegetables. But that was fabulous anyway. I really enjoyed that. Tonight I've got leftover staff curry from yesterday, and I will really enjoy that. Tomorrow lunchtime, oh yes, Momo. Yeah, baby. And that's all I have to say tonight. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, that's nice. Better check the wine, I suppose, hadn't I? Oh, and tonight I was a big brave boy and I made my own roti. What do you reckon? If you didn't know, that is roti. A little bit like naan, but without any of the bad stuff. This you can eat every day without a problem. Naan, full of sugar, full of salt, full of dairy. Roti, good as gold. Flour and water, little pinch of salt maybe. Although I was a little bit naughty and I did brush a bit of butter on it when I took it out of the tandoor. But I reckon that's not a bad roti. I was quite proud of that. I'm still a little bit scared of the tandoor even after all these years. I did make a roti and I'm very proud. Okay, we're still talking about Simone's doings. Chocolate Speedway would be a challenging wank. Well, given that taking a few laps around the Chocolate Speedway is a euphemism for taking a little trip up the Marmite motorway, why would you need a wank? Oh God. One of these nights we're going to have to, one of these very late nights, I know I'm going to lose the plot and we're going to do a live stream where we talk exclusively about sex. It's bound to happen. And I will ask you all sorts of appallingly inappropriate questions. They won't come as a shock to Mustard because I ask him them anyway. They never make it onto any video, either his or mine. You think you've seen some stuff in the lunch videos and whatever. That's nothing compared to what we talk about when the camera isn't running. Oh dear. A bad earth can be anywhere. Matt on Furious Driving is haunted by them. Obviously, Boaty smashed somebody's back doors in. Oh, Trace is here. All of them, Simone. It's very few have escaped unscathed in that regard. I can tell you, it's a particular pleasure of mine. Chinese madam escaped unscathed, actually, but one of the very, very few. Don't get me talking about this. Not tonight. Not tonight. There are nice people watching. We'll shock them. We can't be talking about that sort of thing. Absolutely not. Let's go back to talking about pet cats or something. Oh dear. What the fucking hell is a lazy lamppost? No, I never have, Captain. Would you care to enlighten us? I tell you what I didn't know about until quite recently, the rusty trombone. And as soon as I heard about that, and the person who told me about it also offered to perform it, I said, yes, please. And it is a splendid thing. It turned out that I was a huge fan of the rusty trombone. I'd had the trombone and I'd had the rusty, but I hadn't had the two combined. And it's a splendid thing, is the rusty trombone. But now I want to know what a lazy lamppost is. Thoughts on a 77 to 80 Triumph TR7? Asked Stephen S. Ball. I do have thoughts on them. I can't remember the name of the designer, but when it appeared at a show in Italy, no, it might not have been in Italy, it appeared at a motor show when it was launched. And I'm trying. Who designed the TR7? I've got Michelotti at the back of my mind. Could be wrong. But anyway, an Italian designer looked at the TR7 when it was launched and went sort of, oh dear. And then walked around it, had a look at the other side and said, oh no, they've done the same on this side as well. And I thought that was just absolutely bloody genius. But TR7s, my thoughts on them. I've had two that I really liked, but kind of neither of them were TR7s as such. One was one of the, if you're in the know, one was one of the OOM cars, which were the Works rally car, and mine was ex-Tony Pond. So that was a bit special. And the other one, which I know I've mentioned in live streams before, was a Grinnell TR8 with, I can't remember how big the lump was. I can't remember if it was the 3.9 V8 or whether it was the 4.6. Oh God, but it was fabulous. That was my number one car for scaring the telesales girls in. Whichever of the telesales girls did the worst figures on the week had to come out for a drive with me in the Grinnell. I used to absolutely terrify the thing. But thoughts on the TR7? I didn't hate them. They, you know, in and of the time. Oh, we've got a hidden comment. I agree with you, Jimmy. Well, I don't think I ever have in a Hymer motorhome, but I imagine that it would be better than a TR7. The rusty trombone. Make sure you shower first and avoid cabbage and sprouts. Yeah. Good advice. But it is a splendid thing, isn't it? I came very, very late to that. Not just the rusty trombone thing, even just the rusty thing. I was in my 30s before somebody did that to me. And the first time they did it, I thought, oh, that's nice. That's nice. And fair play. I'm not one of these that, you know, is all taking and no giving. And so, you know, I did my fair share as well. God, I remember the first time I rusted the lady that became Mrs. Boaty, a good Catholic Irish woman who was as, like I suspect a lot of good Catholic Irish people are, as horny as bloody hell underneath it all. It only took a bottle of wine to bring out that side. Anyway, she was horrified the first time I did that. She got used to it, mind. Oh dear. We can't be talking about this side of things. I'm going to have to Google rusty trombone. Don't, for God's sake, don't. And if you do, clear your search history. You'll get some weird adverts coming up on, you'll get some weird adverts coming up on Facebook, mate. We still haven't been told what the lazy lamppost is. A lazy lamppost. That sounds like a euphemism for a semi to me. I might be way up. Anyway, changing the subject. Did you finish watching the new series of Clarkson's Farm, Boaty? Asked Matt. And yeah, I did. And I loved every minute of it. And I've started watching it again because I fell asleep to a couple of the episodes. I'll watch it a good few times. And then I'll watch series 1 again. And then I'll watch series. I love Clarkson's Farm. I think it's absolutely great. It's kind of, yeah, it's just one of those things that works, doesn't it? And I'm I'm sure that it's contrived to a certain extent. Well, in fact, I know for a fact that it's contrived to a certain extent. I know he doesn't spend all of his time there, um, especially when they're not filming. But I don't care. I like it on many levels. The characters are great. I've always liked Clarkson. I've always had a vague interest in farming because of where I was brought up and where I live now. And I think it, on a sociological level, it gives an insight and interest into the struggle that, because when I was working at New Home Hospital in Bakewell, and my wife was at the time managing the hospital before she really whizzed up the career ladder. She's at dizzying heights now, bless her, is Mags. Do you know, it's going to be my ex-wife's now. It's going to be her 60th birthday this year. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine if we were still married. I'd be pottering a 60-year-old. Anyway, we catered to, obviously, given the location of Bakewell, we had a lot of farmer patients. Jesus, what a life they lead. What a life. Okay, you might get a bit of a glimpse into it with Clarkson and his doings, but imagine if you didn't have all of the money behind you. Imagine if you didn't have the celebrity. Imagine if you didn't have the team. Imagine if you were just one guy or one family slogging against the... Right. If you want to see real hardship and what farming can be, go on YouTube and look for Hannah Hawkswell. Hannah, H-A-N-N-A-H. Hawkswell, Hauxwell. And I think there are two, and I think one's called A Winter Too Far. Watch it. Just don't question me. Watch it. You will thank me for it. But no, definitely not safe for work. Google KKC. Jesus Christ. Glad I'm not the only one who'd never heard of it. I'm going to wind up in a minute, by the way, loves. It's coming up to 12:30. I am knackered. And I'm sure that you are too. Mind you, 17 of you are still cracking on. The mental health issues with farmers and the suicide rate is terrifying. And when you get insight into how things are on a day-to-day basis and the life that they lead, Christ, you can understand it. And yeah, I've got it. I mean, my neighbours this way, not next door. Next door, is Nick and Julie. And Nick was quite a senior policeman, took early retirement. Nick, as you know, has got an amazing collection of cars and motorcycles. He's got, oh God, I can't even count them all. He's got Porsches that come out, well, about once every 2 years, and nice ones as well, not silly ones. Well, he's got a 944, which is a bit silly, but it's a really nice 944. He's got a stunning 911. I think it's, I'm not up on my Porsches, but I think it's a 997. I think it's the last of the air-cooled turbos with like hardly any miles up it, and they're spending a lot of time in the States now and a lot of time just gadding about. But next door to them, the last cottage, they farm, and they farm locally. Lovely people. I don't chat with them very much, but my God, they put the hours in. And bless him, he keeps the road clear when it's really snowy in winter with his tractor. and they do horses and all of that. Anyway, there we are. Hannah Hawkswell, was that, oh, is it with WK, not X? I might got that. Was that a 70s documentary with an elderly lady? Yeah, it was. But she wasn't all of that elderly. When they filmed the first documentary, she might have looked 70, but she was in her 40s. She just didn't look it. She looked like a 70-year-old. But yeah, you've nailed the one, and it really is well worth a watch. Got to admire Clarkson for bringing the issues farmers are currently facing. Plus, he got one over on the council with that restaurant. Good luck to all the farmers who follow his example. Yeah. Oh, Bad Books agrees with me. Yeah, she wasn't that elderly. Oh, she died just before lockdown, did she? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Oh, there we are. There we are. What a life. What a bloody life. But the reason for watching it is it's one of those things that just makes you put your own issues or difficulties or problems well and truly into perspective. It's one of those things that you watch, and I've frozen my wine. It's one of those things that you watch, and then, oh, I've got a turd, I've got a wine turd. And then the next time, while it's still relatively fresh in your mind, the next time you find yourself thinking or obsessing over some relatively minor thing in your own life, you give yourself a bitch slap and say, you know, fucking sort yourself out. Pull your head out your ass, mate. Count your blessings. Did she have no electricity or running water? That's the one. Oh, Simone has got something to excite us. Well, first of all, she says smack the thumbs up, and that's not a euphemism. She's suggesting that it would be a great kindness if you were to press like on this video. And then she says she has a video out on Friday night, my lovelies. And it's going to be a premiere. So obviously Hooked on Classics, Simone's channel, is one of our community channels, and so please do support this video. Is that the one that I've seen the thummy for? And it's what to look out for on a Cortina, or is that a different one? And you were sort of showing the rust, steam, and whatever the other thing was. I've forgotten. But yeah, definitely support that. Oh, Mustard doesn't know what a rusty trombone is. I'll tell you on Monday, mate, and you you text the wife and tell her to prepare herself for a Monday night treat. And then you can come on my live stream and tell us how it went. Oh dear. Hannah moved into a house with modern amenities in a local town, so enjoyed a comfortable retirement, but a bit messy. Yeah, I remember something in the second one that was kind of going to happen. I can't remember if it was going to. I haven't watched them for a long time. But now that I've reminded myself about them, I might watch it tonight, and if not tonight, then tomorrow. Fucking hell, Mustard, you're making this up. Ever tried a milky ear clot? You've made that up. You've made that up, and I claim my £10. Oh no, I know what that is, Simone. I know what a rainbow kiss is, and no, I haven't, and never will. No. There's such a thing as a bridge too far. Oh, Bugger off, Mustard. How about the eggy robot? You're the eggy robot, mate. All the eggs you've been shoveling down the little red lane. At least after that period of madness where we all had to suffer you trying to survive on bloody eggs and sausages, at least you're back to kind of normal now, so that we can go to Istanbul and eat normal food, at least on a Monday. And I don't know, I suspect every other day. I think that Mustard goes to Istanbul every day. Every time I talk to him, oh, what do you have for lunch, mate? Oh, I went to Istanbul. Senior Mustard took me, or went to Istanbul. I really fancied a kebab. Or, although to be fair, on Monday, as you will see, he had a very healthy option, unlike me. Monday is my treat day, so I eat crap. Except nothing from Istanbul is crap. Mustard and Liz had keema peas with, Mustard had bread. Liz is on a no carb thing. And, big shout out to Liz. She's lost a shed load of weight, bless her. We didn't film it, but we all did a weigh-in session on Monday. Mustard has scales in his lockup. Oh, here's the thing. Who's heavier, me or Mustard? Who do you think? Have a guess. And yeah, Liz is on a no carb thing. So Liz had keema peas and a bit of kabida. Mustard had keema peas, but with salad and, but he had chapati, which is okay. It's not like naan. Chapati is effectively another word for roti, and that's perfectly okay, perfectly healthy, nothing bad there. I was the only one eating really badly. Oh God. Oh, I don't know whether to read that out. When you're rainbowing, the last thing you want is Dracula dining at the Y. Oh, yeah, I kind of drew the line at that. That was always an awkward, oh God, I can't talk about this stuff. I should just go. The problem with living with a genuine nymphomaniac, and I don't mean somebody who likes sex, I don't mean somebody who loves sex, I don't mean somebody with a really high sex drive, I mean a genuine medical, somebody genuinely suffering from the medical condition of nymphomania. And I've been there, and the time of the month becomes quite an awkward time if you're a little bit squeamish, and I kind of am. I'll tell you one more story about that. Well, not about that, but about something else. True story. I'll tell you this story and then I'm going. I had a friend, met on a date, didn't really do it for me, but I loved her as a person. She was and remains amazing. And apparently, I only found this out afterwards. Apparently, she was really, really into me. Well, I kind of knew it at the time, you know. She was and is a very successful lawyer, not at all backwards in coming forwards, yeah, she made it perfectly clear, but you know, just didn't quite do it for me. And she put her thinking cap on. She tried all of the normal stuff. we went away. We stayed in a nice hotel. On a platonic basis. She got me drunk. God Almighty! There was one really quite expensive hotel. We drank the minibar We drank the minibar dry, not just once, but 3 times over. We had it refilled twice. God, that was an expensive night. You know what minibar prices are like. She was an amazing person. True story. She was hosting a dinner party, a casual supper party kind of thing, right? And they'd had the meal, and she was serving coffee and tea to friends, friends. And she was out of milk. So she went out to get some milk. And she went back 3 weeks later, having spent 3 weeks in Equatorial New Guinea doing some kind of work helping refugees. Just on a whim, she went out to get milk, and on a total whim, drove to the airport, jumped on a flight randomly, did some wonderful things for 3 weeks, and then went back and even took the milk. She was an extraordinary woman. She used to carry a car full of umbrellas. She always had a load of umbrellas. And if there was a sudden rainstorm, she would hand the umbrellas out to people in the street who were getting soaked. Incredibly intelligent, incredibly professional, didn't give a shit about money, and for whatever reason thought I was, she was the one who gave me that book that I told you about. Tragically, I was an only twin, Peter Cook, because she thought Peter Cook and I were twins. But I didn't want to podger her. And hidden comment. Mustard has got more muscle, so you weigh more, Boaty, being fat. Well, muscles weigh more than fat, so that doesn't make sense. Anyway, she started telling me that she was a virgin, and she kept going on and on and on. And there's something about the male ego, about being the first. And I had never ever been the first for any girl. And that just clicked the ego into overdrive. And one long night, we did the deed many, many, many times. And I had a hell of a job getting the blood out of the sheets afterwards. And I was really quite proud of this. And my business partner, who was my best friend, and who became her best friend, and they're still best friends now, eventually told me 2 months later that you fucking idiot, you weren't the first, not by a long chalk. She's the town bike, she's had half of Newcastle. She was just frustrated you wouldn't give it up. Came up with an idea to get you to give it up, and you did her on a period. Oh dear. So there you are. Right, that's it. Let's go. Say your good night to my loves. I need supper and sleepies. And Hannah Hawkswell tonight, I think. Make a change from Clarkson's farm. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed chatting with each other, enjoying the community doodah. Apologies for tonight's video being a bit crap. I couldn't be asked to do a proper one. I did mean to do that video anyway, but I meant to do it a load better. But there you go. I'm getting shit views at the moment, apart from that one video. And Mustard said that he is too, so it's a generic thing, it's not just me. So I thought, well, I might as well put some crap out if I'm going to get shit views anyway. So there we are. Okay, right, that's it. Good night, my loves. You take care. See you next time. Oh, let's take that back to the beginning. There we go. Oh God, I shouldn't have played this when we were talking about the rusty trombone, should I? Oh dear God, what a way to end the night. You have a safe and peaceful night, my lovelies, and you take care of yourselves. Stay safe, stay warm. See you tomorrow. Bollocks, I thought